Hi there, welcome to the practice questions on using Pascal's triangle to expand a binomial expression. What I'd like you to do now is to actually pause the video, have a go at question 1 for me, expand this expression here using Pascal's triangle, and then when you're happy with your answer, then restart the video and we go through the answer together. So if you pause the video now, have a go at question 1 for me. Hi, welcome back. I hope you had a go at that. Let's now go through this together. So when we're using Pascal's triangle to expand an expression of this form, in general, you'll see the first term in the brackets represented as A, the second term, the 3x here, represented as B, and the power represented as N. That's how you'll see that written in general form. Now, for this one, because we're using because it's to the power of 4, we use the fifth row in Pascal's triangle. We always use one row on from what the power was outside the bracket. So if it was to the power of 7, we'd use the 8th row. To the power of 13, you'd use the 14th row, and so on. So in general terms, first of all, we start off and we use the first number in the fifth row of Pascal's triangle. This is going to help us generate our coefficients for each term. So we start off with 1. We then multiply it by a to the power of n, and then multiply that by the b term, but that's raised to the power of 0. Second term, well, we've got 4 in Pascal's triangle, so we start off with 4. We then multiply that by our a raised to the power of n minus 1. The power goes down by 1 for the a term. We multiply that by b to the power of 1. The b term, the power goes up by 1. The next term in the expression would be 6, because Pascal's triangle suggests that we're using 6 here. We then multiply it by a to the power of n minus 2, power going down by 1 again, times b to the power of 2, b power goes up by 1. Next term would be the 4 in Pascal's triangle. We're multiplying that by a, the power again goes down by 1, so that's n minus 3, raised to the power, and then, multiplied by b, power going up by 1, b to the 3. The last term, if you just go underneath here, last term is going to be the 1, and that's going to be multiplied by a to the n minus 4 this time, and then we multiply that by b to the power of 4 as the b power goes up by 1. If we now put in our numbers into this general form, let's see what we get. So we're going to start off with 1. A in this case is 2, so it's going to be 2 raised to the power of n, which is 4. And b is 3x, but we're raising that to the power of 0. Our second term starts with 4. Then we've got our a term, which is 2, raised to the power of 3, multiplied by our b term, which is 3x, and the power goes up by 1, so that's raised to the power of 1. Our next term here is going to be 6. We're now going to have a, which is 2, raised to the power of 2 this time, power going down by 1, multiplied by b, which again is our 3x, and our power goes up by 1, so it's 3x squared. Then Pascal's triangle tells us it's 4. Our a term this time is 2 raised to the power of 1, multiplied this time by 3x, power going up by 1, so we get 3x to the 3. And finally, we've got 1. A now becomes 2. This time it's to the power of 0. And our b term is our 3x, power going up by 1 to the power of 4. We then work this out. For the first one here, we're going to have 1 times 2 to the 4. Well, 2 to the 4 is 16. So we're going to have 16. And 3x to the 0 is just 1. So we just get 16 times 1. Second term here, 2 to the power of 3 gives us 8. 8 times 4 gives us 32. But then we've got to multiply that by 3x to the power of 1, which just is 3x. Our next term, we've got 2 squared, which is 4, times our 6 gives us 24. But then we're raising that to 3x squared. Well, 3x squared is 3x times 3x, which gives us 9x squared. Our next term, 4 times 2 to the 1. Well, 2 to the 1 is just 2. So 2 times 4 is 8. So we end up with 8. And then we've got 3x cubed. 3x all cubed gives us 27x cubed. And then finally, 1 times 2 to the 0. 2 to the 0, well, anything to the 0 is 1. So we just have 1 multiplied by 3x to the 4. 3x to the 4 actually gives us 81x to the power of 4. So now all we need to do is just finish this off, multiply these terms together. So we're going to have the first term as 16. Our next term is going to be 32 times 3x here. 32 times 3x gives us 96x. Our next term, we're going to have to do 24 times our 9x squared. Well, 24 times 9 gives us 216. So we get 216x squared. Our next term here, 8 times 27. 8 times 27, that also gives us 216. This time it's x cubed. And finally, 1 times 81x to the 4 gives us positive 81x to the 4. Remember, we should have 5 terms. See that from Pascal's triangle. And we've got 5 terms in our expression. So our expansion is complete. Okay, I've got another question here for you to have a go at. What I'd like you to do now is obviously pause the video again, have a go at this question using Pascal's triangle, and then when you're happy with your answer, then restart the video and we go through this one together. So pause the video now. Hi, welcome back. Let's see if we can go through this one together and see if you got it right. So first of all, we're looking at a power here of 5. So we're looking at the 6th row in Pascal's triangle when we've got a power of 5. This is our 6th row here. So we're going to start off. I'm going to start off with the 1. And we're going to times that by the first term, the 3x here. And we're going to raise that to the power of 5. Then we're going to multiply that by the negative 2y raised to the power of 0. Our next term, we've got the 5 here. So we're going to have 5. We're going to multiply that by 3x to the power of 4. And we're going to multiply that by the negative 2y to the power of 1. On to the next term, we've got the 10 here. So it's 10 multiplied by 3x to the power of 3. And then we're going to multiply that by negative 2y. And this time it's to the power of 2. Move underneath here. Our next term we've got another 10. So we're going to add 10, multiply that by the 3x. And this time we're going down another power to the power of 2. Multiply that to negative 2y. This power raises to the power of 3. And then penultimate term here, the 5. Multiply that by 3x. Reduce the power from the last time. So it's 1. Multiply that by the negative 2y. Increase the power this time to the power of 4. And then our final term we've got the number 1, multiply that by 3x to the 0, and then finally multiply that by minus 2y to the power of 5. So now if we're going to times these all together, simplify this a little bit, we've got, first of all, 3x to the 5 times 1 times the minus 2y to the 0, which is also 1. So this just gives us our first term of 243x to the power of 5. If we move on to the next term, we've got 5 times 3x to the 4. 3x to the 4, well, 3x to the 4 is 81x to the 4. If we times that by 5, we get 405x to the 4. But then if we multiply that by minus 2 to the 1, then we're going to get negative 810x to the 4 and y to the 1. Our next term here, we've got 3x cubed, which is 27x cubed. We're multiplying that by minus 2y squared, which is positive 4y squared. So we've got our 4y squared times our 27x cubed. That's going to give us 108x cubed y squared. But then we've got to multiply that by the 10. So we've got 1080x cubed y squared. Note that this is a positive now because the negative 2y squared gives us the positive there. Our next term, we're going to have 3x squared, well that's 9x squared, multiplied by negative 2y cubed, which gives us negative 8y cubed. 8 nines, that's 72. So at the moment we've got negative 72x squared and then y cubed. But we need to times that by 10. So that gives us 720. So it's minus 720 x squared y cubed. Just move on to the next line now. So we're on to this term here. So we've got 3x to the 1 minus 2y to the 4. Well, minus 2y to the 4 is 16y to the 4. Multiply that by 3, you get 48. 48 times 5 gives us 240. Now this time this is a positive, so it's positive 240, and we've got x to the 1 and y to the 4. And then finally we've got the 3x to the 0, which is 1, the negative 2y to the 5, which is negative 32y to the 5. So obviously the 3x to the 0 becomes 1. 1 times 1 times negative 32 gives us negative 32y to the 5. So just to finish this off, writing it out in full, we've got 243 x to the power of 5 minus 810 x to the 4 y plus 1080 x cubed y squared minus 720 x squared y cubed plus 240 x y to the 4 minus 32 y to the 5. Check, we've got our 6 terms here. There's 6 numbers in Pascal's triangle, and note that they go from negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, because obviously squaring a negative gives us a positive, cubing a negative gives us a negative, and so on.